A new week is upon us, my good friends, and there's plenty to discuss, actually. A bit of a setup going on right here, and a look at the higher term time frames plus corollary markets I do believe will shed some light on the current situation, or at least give a bias on direction. Anyways, other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a lovely Monday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland, and what else? Yes, that's right. You can still get the Jewel Light free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. That's right. Just a bunch of green dildos over there, and you're good to go. Anyways, let's get into the analysis of the day before I say any more stupid shit. And I need to bring my notes over here, and there we go. Okay, beautiful. All right, so first things first, start off over here on the weekly for CME. As you can see, Bitcoin essentially trading sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, working on week number 5 now. It feels like it's been an eternity, man. Anyways, in this case, I want to call out on CME that yes, we are starting to see volatility expand on the weekly time frame, and this is coming after some of the lowest levels of volatility that we've ever seen. In fact, really only ever outdone by one time, that coming in from April of 2022. That was actually preceding one of the major breakdowns of last year when Bitcoin went from $46,000 to a low price of 25, and then we saw 19, right? Anyways, more importantly, volatility is direction neutral, but it does imply that we're going to probably see a pretty severe move in this case. We do still see, however, that the weekly Jewel oscillator continues with its upside momentum, actually passing above the slower moving oscillator in this case, and maintaining that light blue color, which is a good signal, supported by DMI. And then yes, we do still see the 21 and 55 exponential moving average crosses to the upside right here. So ultimately, I would be looking at that as a generally good thing. Could we see another test of the 9 exponential moving average right here? Yeah, definitely possible. That is at your mid $29,000 territory. But as long as Bitcoin is above all these major moving averages, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I would still probably be biased towards the upside. But that's just my personal opinion. Let's get into some more heavy hitting things. So I do want to bring you over here to the weekly stochastic momentum, and then also call out that the weekly stochastic momentum continues to the upside this week, actually, as long as Bitcoin's above 28,850. This, again, coming within the context of extreme lows on stochastic volatility. So we see a lot of these metrics starting to line up with each other, and also the weekly stochastic oscillator getting above that moving average here too. So ultimately, as long as Bitcoin's especially above 29.5, do the Bulas have another chance this week? Yeah, I do think so. Going into the 5-day time frame, we still see it also continue the upside. 29,300 going to be the pivot right there. 2-day time frame going to be actually heavily down below 31,850. So that would be kind of the counterpoint to what I'm saying. And then the daily actually really heavy down right here below 31,700. 12-hour time frame is going to be showing downside as well. They're all down, actually. Maybe I should be bearish. In this case. We'll go over a bearish scenario in a second here, actually. Will be downside angled below 30,700. 6-hour time frame going to be also downside angled below 31,600. 4-hour time frame is also downside angled below 31,300. And hourly time frame is going to be going down below 30,300 as well, if Bitcoin does close below on this next period. Anyways, in this case, I want to bring that into the view of the current ranges. Still the same thing as before, and really the same thing as it has been for about 4 weeks now. Bottom side of the current range, 29,550, and that is exactly where I'd start to look at this as one major massive distribution, getting ready for a significantly lower price action. Next stop probably somewhere around 28.5 to 28 even, and by the same token, to the upside, current range high, and the range high that has been for quite some time, 31,200 or so, with the average of the range coming in just above where current price action is at about 30,400. That is to say that if you start to see Bitcoin close above 30,400 on a 4-hour time frame, that'd be a good early warning signal that Bitcoin will try another assault at the top side of the range. Does not imply a break of the upside of the range, however. So, if bears are going to take over, it likely happens early this week. As we do see pretty much all momentum across all timeframes, daily and below, to the downside. But as you can see, the longer that they do take to break down in this case and see follow through, the more and more that these will just naturally reset. So I'd say, around Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, let's say, If we don't start to see Bitcoin break down by then perhaps boo laws take over yet again. So anyways, what I wanted to get into now is actually two other things before we get into the setup. One is going to be coming off of the back of Dixie. I just want to follow up on this. Dixie completing the breakdown that we spoke about yesterday and really the couple months prior, just slowly coming to fruition here. But I do believe that it still has more on it. There is a technical target based off of the descending triangle that it did break down from, putting it all the way down towards about 97 and a quarter. I'd be looking at that as a range basically between the 200 simple and which is at 98 and a quarter, and kind of that target down there as well. So Dixie continuing, does that bode well or not for risk on assets like Bitcoin? Generally speaking, it'd be better for Bitcoin in this case, but for right now, I mean, Bitcoin not really seeing any, not really seeing anything significant coming off the back from that. Again, I do not come at this as the same as I think a lot of people who look at this as like it needs to be a tick by tick correlation. No, I'm looking at a trend correlation. This is obviously a downtrend continuation. So what would that suggest? It would suggest that we expect risk on assets to have another push to the upside in continuation, obviously. So yes, we have that there. Obviously, the monthly same thing here too. Lower price action likely warranted coming into the end of July, maybe beginning of August as well. And just continuation of all the setups that we were looking at, the few prior weeks. Hidden bearish evidence right here. Weekly jewel continues downside, and weekly volatility rise. And it's like an inverse chart of what we did see on Bitcoin and especially traditional markets. What also I wanted to show you as well is gold. Actually, I thought gold chart was very, very interesting here. Gold chart is, more often than not does play with Bitcoin, a little bit less so recently to be fair, but putting another drive of hidden bullish divergence on that last low over here, and the weekly jewel actually losing its downside curvature and momentum at the same time. Do want to see that one turn light blue, but this would be a great place for another higher low, and gold seemingly looking like it wants to try another move to the upside, probably closer to $2,000, maybe into August. So again, looking at these two things, does Bitcoin probably try a move like that as well? Perhaps yes. I can throw in a correlation coefficient over here just to see what it would be plotting in, and let's put on Bitcoin. Okay, there we go. We can just use the index because why not? And lovely. And yeah, on the monthly we can see a relatively strong correlation. Weekly, a little bit less so. It's actually coming down, but more importantly on the weekly, we can see that generally speaking, it does have high correlations, and these spikes to the downside where it gets uncorrelated get picked up, rather abruptly. So that's kind of what I mean by people look at correlations, in my opinion, wrongly. It should be more of like a regression, like an average over time, not necessarily like on a tick by tick basis, because like obviously they don't need to move like that to be correlated. It's just like a general trend thing. At least that's where I think that you can actually have an edge. Anyway, speaking of edge, I do want to get back into this setup over here. We spoke about this setup, I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. I just want to do this one on the skeleton key, and then I'll kind of explain it. But basically, it is this: the HPDR indicator, which is the ones in the blue, in the background over here. Anytime that we do see Bitcoin price action close below the bottom side of the blue range lows, which is this area right here, I'll just mark it off with my little marker. There we go, lovely. And then if that happens within the context of declining volatility represented by the BBWP indicator over here, which it did at that exact moment, then that constitutes a setup for a higher probability move to the upside rather than the downside. How high of a probability would you say? Well, about 66.67%. So 666. Maybe it's the devil's number. Maybe this is the one that gets absolutely fucking demolished. But over the last 147 trades, yeah, higher probability of of an upside move emerging. With some pretty interesting stats as well. So if we go ahead and look at the average winning trade, it was about 5%, or very, very close to 5%. Again, there's variance within these numbers, but 5% would basically put Bitcoin back around, or probably even on new highs. Let me just see from that particular setup. Yeah, 5% would put Bitcoin basically back around the highs of last week, actually. Going back into the strategy tester right here, the average amount of time taken in the winning trades was 25 bars. So 25 bars times 3 is what? 75. 75 hours is what? Is basically 3 days. And this This occurred, I think, actually about 3 days ago. Yeah, Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we're kind of getting around the time where you would expect this to occur. Again, there's going to be some variance within these numbers if it is going to play out. By contrast, however, the average amount of bars in losing trades was 29. So a little bit longer than the winning trades. What does that mean? Well, that means that the longer that this goes on, the more and more likely it's to be a failure, actually, which means downside, which will be marked by a closure below this area right here, 29,700. This was all done on the skeleton key. I know we're going to get some emails about this, so I'll just quickly explain, or do I need to explain? I don't need to explain it, but I mean, you can just set it up yourself. Like for the people who do have the skeleton key, here's what I'll just show you my settings, like straight up. Oh, there's your close below. There's your PMAR P levels. There's your PMAR P take profit, BBWP condition, and where's the settings for PMAR P? Yeah, there you go. And not trading on Saturdays. So in that case, you can actually set that one up for yourself if you have the skeleton key. For the people who are wondering what the fuck I'm talking about, you can find it over here, of course, in the store. We bundled it with the quant program and in that script. And yes, you can use it for automation purposes as well. So that's available for you right there. And hopefully that will lessen some emails that we get for our lovely customer support girls. But yeah, slightly higher probability of an upside move here. But like I said, with stochastic momentum on basically all time frames, kind of pointed to the downside here. This would be a good time for a failure. And if this one does start to, I guess, not see that upside move relatively soon, according to these stats over here, the more and more likely it is to be a failure. Then again, the more and more that time goes on, stochastic momentum will have a chance to reset. But kind of a conundrum, I suppose. But I suppose we probably won't get resolution on this today. Probably won't, to be quite frank with you. Probably comes Tuesday, Wednesday area, I would guess. So a little bit more waiting on that sideways price action. But hopefully that was in some way helpful. I'll be signing off on that note. Want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Tuesday.